10 guiding rules to help elevate you as a project manager. Now, these 10 rules are very simple. They can be applied across all sorts of different areas, but think of them as a set of reminders as well. Use them if you do reviews in terms of like your performance and things like that. Put some of them on post-it notes, the ones that really stand out for you as reminders. But they are all really important and, as I said, can touch on all sorts of different aspects when it comes to how you run your projects and how you perform as a project manager. So the first one is always be proactive. This is something you would have heard me speak about before. It's just so important that you are proactive in everything you do. Proactive in terms of how you plan and structure your day, how you set your standards, the things that you're not going to do. Proactive in how you talk to your team members, what you share with them, the clients. Proactive in terms of thinking about what can go wrong or what people need. It covers so many things on projects. And this is a really important one to put on a post-it, in my opinion, because if you can regularly be thinking about different ways to be more proactive, you will have less problems on your project and your performance will go up as well. The second one, again, no surprises here. Never make assumptions. It will come back to bite you, further down the line on a project. So again, it's such an important reminder, really, really simple, but check yourself. What assumptions have been made? Then obviously you want to check with other people that you're working with as well. Number 3 is always ask why. This isn't simply just why to every person who ever gives you a piece of information, because that's not going to be that helpful. But the point behind this one is you need to be inquisitive. Never just take the first response as the only response that you get, because sometimes, not always, but sometimes there's underlying problems behind the responses that you might get from your clients or your teams, especially clients when you're getting asked to do something. If you don't really understand the why behind it, then you and your team may not be able to come up with the best options for them or the best solution for them. So think about the questions you can ask so you can understand the why behind those requests in more detail. Number 4 is build partnerships. So if you're a project manager and you might have account managers in your company, that's like the perfect example. If you can get a really good partnership with an account manager, everything gets so much easier on a project. And by partnerships, I don't just simply mean that you are the PM and they're the M and you do your jobs and that's it. It's finding out what you're really good at, what they're really good at, what you're not so good at, what they're not so good at, and having really clear responsibilities between the two, but like the real fundamental things. I'll definitely own this, you definitely own that. Then see where the crossovers are, where you can help each other out. Talk a lot, communicate a lot, teach each other skills. If you're not great in front of clients, learn from them. If they're not thinking proactively enough about risks, help them and educate them as well. And the more you can elevate each other, the easier everything's going to get. Number 5 is simplify everything. Again, a regular message from me. The more you can simplify things, the better. And especially if you're working on or just starting on a really big, complex project, that can be quite overwhelming. But just start with, right, how long have we got? Let's just list out the 5 things we might need to create and do from this. Right, when do we think we would start? What sort of team members do we need? Let's plot some milestones across this. What do the phases look like? Now, all the things that I've spoken about. If you start there, everything just gets easier, because then you just add another layer on and another layer on and another layer on, and then you build out the detail. You can never have all of the detail and all of the confidence from day one. It is a process that you have to go through. So don't overcomplicate that process when it comes to planning. Just do the structure first and build and build and build and go from there. Number 6 is excel at the fundamentals. What they are for you, like you would have heard me describe, may differ a little bit, but be ruthless with your fundamentals. Find out what are the most important things that you need to do. And this isn't just from a project management point of view, it can be for your own standards as well. What are the things that I need to do every single day or every single week that will elevate my performance as a project manager? I'll be more confident, I'll be in more control, whatever it might be, list them out, but make sure they're realistic as well, in terms of if you have something you say you're going to do every day, make sure you can do it every day, unless there's a really massive issue that will disrupt you, which sometimes that might happen. But generally, can you do these things when you say you're going to do them? If you can't, then there's not much point in putting them as a fundamental, because they're just going to fall by the wayside. Number 7 is over communicate. Again, this can mean different things for different times in your projects. It can mean helping with assumptions, over communicating about what you think people know or what you think people don't know, finding out, checking with them, double checking with them, or at the start of the project when you go high on the communications for those first few weeks to build up that knowledge and check and help prevent issues and things like that. So you're always better to over communicate. If there's something you're not sure about, ask. That's another really good reminder, because don't feel like, I won't want to bother them, or I should have asked this in that meeting, so I won't ask it now. Ask. Because if you don't ask, that might become a problem further down the line. Don't treat everything the same. Again, you would have come across this in the lessons. We have so much to do as project managers, and if you treat everything the same, then you may very, very quickly either become overwhelmed, or the quality of your work will drop, or you'll have more problems, because not everything needs the same amount of time spent on it. Focus on the things that really matter. Put the time and effort in there. And that includes when you're going into a meeting and there's certain things you want to talk about, what is the one thing? What's the most important thing? It could be the hardest thing you need to solve. Start there. If you've got 10 things you want to go through, don't go through, right, let's go through this one because it's number 1 on the list. Number 1 on the list should be the most important thing that you need to talk about, that's the most challenging or the most valuable, whatever the reason. And then you go down. Think of it as like a priority list. Always start at the top priority. Number 9 is just related to your mindset. Treat problems as learnings. You're going to have problems on projects. You're going to make mistakes as an individual, a team, or a company. But then just think, well, what do we learn from that? What can we change next time? Because it's a really nice way to manage your mindset, not get downhearted, being realistic, because as I said, there will be problems, and you can learn so much from issues, from the things that don't go so well, from the failures and things like that. But don't leave it all to the end. There's so many little learnings you can pick up as you go through a project, and try and act on them, because otherwise all those little issues, they just have that compounding effect, and they turn into effectively a really big issue. And that big issue could be you're now really crunched on time, or you've run out of budget, whatever it might be. So be wary of those small issues. They can actually cause a big problem. The final one, which relates to that point number 9, is just work on your mindset. This can mean different things for different people, but it's really important that you have a strong mindset as a project manager. You need to be confident. You don't want to be doubting yourself. You need to be confident so you'll speak up in meetings and ask those questions, about asking why. You need to be confident about that communication point, where sometimes you do need to ask again because you didn't understand. You might need to think about, let's say this week you've got 2 really important meetings. Now this relates to number 8 as well. Don't treat everything the same. Not every meeting you need to go in with the right mindset and right preparation, or the same preparation. But those 2 really important ones, you need more preparation, and you need to be thinking about how you're going to act and behave in those meetings as well. Don't just rock in there and think, let's just see how this goes. Start thinking about, right, how do I want to act? I want to be confident. I'm going to ask good questions. This is how I want to feel at the end of this meeting. Putting those things into your head before a meeting, it does naturally just make you feel more prepared when you go in there, and you will perform at a higher standard because you've done that mental preparation as well. And it's the same for when it comes to your productivity. Having those doubts about what to do and what not to do, just recognize them and then come up with some ideas to help push those negative thoughts back can make a really big difference. Because our mind can play all sorts of tricks on us, and often the things that we say in our head can sometimes actually either be not completely not true or a bit ridiculous. So you may want to say them out loud or write them down in some cases. Anything that's just going to help you get better focus on what you should be doing, that's going to give you value and going to help you be more productive as a project manager.